Hello, one and all, and welcome to Film Fragments, a podcast where we take fragments of an actor, director, or genre and tell you our favorites from their catalog. My name is Bryan. I'm your host, and I'm very excited to welcome you guys to this week's episode of Film Fragments, where today we're going to be talking about maybe the best actor of this guy's generation. Martin Scorsese called this man one of the best, if not the best actor of his generation. And Marty is correct. Marty may not like Marvel movies, and that's totally fine. I respect him on that. But when he says this about this particular actor, you gotta agree with him. We're going to be talking about our favorite film starring Adam Driver today. And I'm very excited to welcome our guest, Jamie Arena, to talk to me about Adam Driver. Hi, Jamie. How you doing today?
I'm good. Hi. Excited to be here.
I am so excited to have you on. I'm just so excited that I finally get to talk about Adam on this show because I gush about him nonstop on a day-to-day basis. And whenever I've asked people to come on here, or if people have asked me to come onto the show, they've never been like, I want to talk about Adam Driver. So it's nice that I finally found someone who does want to talk about Adam Driver, which is crazy because he really is one of the best actors working today. So I like to throw a curveball question at the start of these episodes. So if you could take one Adam Driver character out to dinner, whether it's with family, friends, or even just you and the character, which character would it be?
Oof. You know, a lot of how I feel about Adam Driver characters, is because of my huge attraction to the man. So I think he's hot in everything. Even White Noise coming up. I'm gonna find some way to find him attractive in that one. But um, maybe Patterson, because I just think he's so likable and I think everyone would love him. So I think that's kind of an easy one.
Oh, that's who I'm gonna pick too. I want to hear someone read me poetry. And also he's a fellow New Jerseyan. His
Uh
character, it's a fellow New Jerseyan. So I mean, all respect to that. So I gotta go with him. And just he just seems like the sweetest, most humble man ever in that movie. So I mean, how could you not pick Patterson, who's a bus driver in Patterson? And come on, it's just perfect. It's just perfect. So going on to talk about you, talk a little bit about what what got you into film, why you love it so much, and talk a little bit about some of your favorites of all time.
oh, cool. Well, hmm. It would be wrong if I didn't mention I was just a big Disney kid when I was young. I even had like a Disney Instagram that grew very big for like a 14-year-old that I ran like a business. Um, but yeah, my dad was big on Disney. My dad's an artist and really loved the art of Disney. And so just grew up watching those films, and then at a certain point, veered off and started to watch as many movies as I could. I don't remember where I learned this. Before I even went to film school, I just was told you need to watch as many films as you can. So I did those, watching a movie a day kind of thing. And for a few years there, just kind of caught up on any and every film I could across all genres. But yeah, and then that brought me to film school. And now I'm very much a wannabe film writer and, I guess podcaster, talk about her. I don't know, but I'm, starting at the bottom, but hopefully we'll get to do some cool stuff.
That's so exciting. I'm rooting for you. I hope that you get to strive towards that dream. I'm very excited for you, and I respect that. And I think it's very cool that you were a Disney kid growing up. I was also a massive Disney kid growing up. I adored going to Disney and watching Disney movies. Disney is a big part of my childhood and it's a big part of my household. But
Yeah.
yeah, and steering away from Disney, but kind of talking a little bit about Disney because Adam Driver has kind of done some Disney productions, whether you want to consider it a Disney production. So, talking about Adam, why do you think a lot of people regard him as one of the best actors working today? Like, why do you think a lot of people get excited whenever they see Adam Driver's name attached to a project? And what makes you such a big fan of him and his work?
You know, I suffer with anxiety. I like just something I deal with day to day. And so I feel like I can always spot when someone else has anxiety. And, I kind of saw that in Adam since the beginning when he started to get really big from Star Wars. And I don't know, I think that's just one of the reasons why I'm really attracted to him because, he's just someone that does this kind of work that's pretty scary. I feel like acting and just working in film at all is just really overwhelming and it's, such crazy work. And so just seeing him, be such a normal person, but be in this work is, really attractive to me. And so yeah, that's why I really like him. One of the big reasons, even like despite his amazing talent.
Yeah, I mean he's incredible. Like he is one of those actors with so much range. It's really impressive how much he's tackled in such a short period of time. He made his feature film debut in 2011 with J. Edgar, directed by Clint Eastwood. And, obviously his career has grown exceptionally since. He starred on Girls for many years, where a lot of people considered him to be the standout of that show. And then, yeah, when he got cast as the villain of the new Star Wars trilogy, I mean, now everybody knows who he is. I was a fan of him before he was cast in Star Wars. So everyone that says, I've been a long time fan of Adam Driver, maybe some of you have been, but a lot of you are probably like, I didn't know who he was until he was Kylo Ren. So I've been a
Guilty.
fan longer, so I'm gonna call you out for it. But no, I love the guy. He has so much range. He is so freaking likable. He is one of those actors too that could play really likable, but also really despicable so seamlessly. But then you see him in real life, and he just seems like the most gentle, humble, kindest soul. And yeah, I mean, you point out how he's really shy in interviews. I mean, you wouldn't even think about that if you just watch him in his movies, he's so outgoing and energetic, and then you see him in real life where he's just so quiet and laid back and reserved. But he also just seems like the most humble dude possible. And I love that he has worked with countless different filmmakers. Like he has done pretty much all the possible genres that you could think of. He's done comedies and dramas, science fiction, thrillers, horror movies, period pieces. Like the guy has done it all. And he's only 38, 39 years old. And also, it's important to acknowledge that he used to be a Marine. So he comes from being a Marine and then he decides to go into acting. And it's just really incredible. I highly recommend for anyone listening to this, if they have not watched his TED Talk, where he talked about, being a Marine and then becoming an actor, highly recommend that. It's a great watch. It's very breezy. It's very engaging. Just please go watch that as soon as you guys can. But yeah, I love Adam Driver. I go back and forth sometimes with deciding if he's my favorite working actor, and I really do believe that he is my favorite working actor today because of how much range he has and because he likes to work with these incredible filmmakers one after the other. I mean, obviously he's developed this incredible relationship with Noah Baumbach, but then you look at the other filmmakers that he's worked with. I mean, he's pretty much worked with so many household names, and there's so many more that he has yet to work with. I mean, look at this list of people that he's worked with: Clint Eastwood, Steven Spielberg, the Coen brothers, J.J. Abrams, Jeff Nichols, Jim Jarmusch, Martin Scorsese, Steven Soderbergh, Ryan Johnson, Spike Lee, Terry Gilliam, Leos Carax, and Ridley Scott. And soon he's going to be working with Michael Mann and Francis Ford Coppola. I mean, come on. Like, what a lineup of filmmakers to work with. I mean, this guy is a chameleon of an actor. He's just so, so good at his craft. And I cannot wait to talk with you about our favorite films from him. So the way this is going to work, everyone, is we're going to go through our 5 through 1. Now, if Jamie says a film and if it's higher on my list, I'm going to say pass after she talks about it. And the same goes for her. If I have a film that's higher on her list, after I talk about it, she's going to say pass. So, Jamie, I got to ask you a very important question. What is your number 5 favorite Adam Driver film of all time?
So I went with Annette um and him in that movie. And I don't know, the first off, the movie's just so long, or at least feels like it. I think I needed to split it between like 3 different sessions of watching it. But because of that, I feel like it was such a journey. Um, and like really hanging out with Adam Driver for a long time. But yeah, so that's my number five. Even if I still am not sure how I exactly feel about the movie, I have yet to rewatch it since my first watch, but you know, it's Adam Driver singing opera. It's something I never thought I would get, but I'm so like happy and lucky to have watched it.
So what else do you like about in that other than him? Like what makes it your number five? Like what made you decide, oh, I'm gonna put it on this list?
I just like it was something so different that at least like I haven't really watched before. Not like this at least, since it's like a rock opera film. And I just think, after the initial like kind of how I was thrown a little bit at the beginning, maybe I wasn't sure fully going in what I was gonna see, but after figuring out like what it is and what the tone is supposed to be, I was pretty invested in it. And he is kind of like a villainous character in that, but there's also moments of, tenderness with his character, his very much shitty comedian character. But yeah, and I'm a big fan of puppets too. And so anytime like a film brings in puppetry, I kind of automatically have this soft spot for it because I love that art form and wish that, it was used more in filmmaking instead of CGI. But yeah. Have you seen it?
So, and that is not on my list. I've only seen it once, and I'll be honest, I was so like mixed on the film. I still don't even know how I feel about the movie. And the film's been out
Yeah.
for over a year at this point. But talking about Adam, I mean, of course, he was incredible in it. He was phenomenal. Uh, a lot of people online were like, I don't know how to feel. He's not really a singer. Like, I don't know how I feel about his
Mhm.
voice, but it's one of those movie musicals to where the singing isn't really like the crux of the movie. Like, it's one of those movie musicals where even though the singing isn't Broadway caliber singing, it works for the movie that's being presented. And this movie, I mean, doesn't pull any punches. It goes in and it doesn't stop at all. And you think it's going to calm down, but then it just keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. And Adam playing a very shitty comedian, not shitty in terms of talent, just shitty as a person.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people online, I remember when this came out, they're like, oh my God, this is literally like the shitty version of Bo Burnham. If Bo Burnham was a piece of shit, this is exactly who
True.
Adam Driver would be. And he was incredible in this. Marion Cotillard is always great whenever she's on screen. She was great. But I think the standout for me of the film was Simon Helberg because he came off the Big Bang Theory, which is obviously high profile sitcom. So going from a sitcom like that to a Leos Carax musical movie, like that's a big step. And for him, he was like, I was so nervous working with two pioneers of acting like Adam and Marion's like, oh, here I am, someone who came from this plucky sitcom, and now I'm in this movie with Adam and Marion, two of the best actors ever. And yeah, I mean, the music's incredible. Visually, it's stunning. And yeah, the puppetry work, I agree, is really
It's so
fantastic.
cool.
It
And
really
kind
is
of,
cool.
yeah, and it kind of brings, a little, it's it's like uncomfortable, and it's a little scary too. And I
Which I
just kind
feel
of
was
love
the
that.
intention of it. I think it was the intention to do that, and it paid off really well. I mean, I
Yeah.
was thrown off at first with the whole puppetry. I was a little because I didn't expect that to happen.
Yeah.
So then when I watched the movie and I saw there was a puppet, I'm like, what's going on here? But at the same time, it's like at this point, we're so neck deep in the movie that I'm not shocked with what's going on anymore because he just keeps throwing these surprises at us one
Yeah.
after the other. So that's a very interesting pick. I do need to go back and rewatch it because I mean, I will say though that I think the last scene of the movie, like I love the ending of the movie so much. I think the ending is great. I think the song was great. I think Adam's performance in that last scene was really exceptional.
Hmm.
And the person that he sings alongside with, I'm not going to say who it is, but oh my God, I mean, it's like this newcomer going up against Adam Driver, and they're like on the same level of like greatness. It's really impressive. And yeah, it's a very interesting pick. And my number five is not bonkers whatsoever. It's not weird whatsoever. It's probably one of the most normal movies he's ever done. So I grew up being a Star Wars fan. I do enjoy the films, not as much as, say, like Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. Those are my go to big budget franchises, but I do enjoy Star Wars. And when he got cast as the villain of this new trilogy, I got really excited. I'm like, okay, this is a perfect casting. I cannot wait to see what he brings to it. And I'll be upfront and say that his character was the best thing about this entire trilogy, not just because of Adam's performance, but the character was so well written, in my opinion. And that's where all the writing kept going towards. You could argue about Finn, Poe, and Rey not being great characters, but no one ever said anything bad about Kylo Ren. So I'm going to go with Star Wars The Force Awakens as my number 5, the star of this trilogy. This is my personal favorite of the trilogy. I know there are a lot of people out there that either love or hate The Last Jedi. And I'll be honest, I loved The Last Jedi when I first saw it. Over time, my love for it has gone down. I certainly don't think it's a piece of crap. I understand some people's complaints with the movie, but one thing you cannot complain about is Adam's performance throughout these 3 films. Now, the Rise of Skywalker is a massive piece of shit. That movie sucked, but Adam's work in that film was really fantastic. And to
He
go
did
on
what he
to
could.
he did what he could. He did his best, and honestly, he delivered. Every sequence he delivered, whether it was for comedic effect or for serious. Like literally, anytime he yells, I mean, it's kind of funny, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you're actually kind of terrified of this guy. Like literally, the sequence in the forest in this movie where it's him versus Finn and Rey, and then he just smacks himself like on the chest like repeatedly.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that could have been. That is kind of ridiculous, but Adam brings so much to it that it kind of works. And then he just screams traitor, and it's so good. It that lightsaber, it belongs to me. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it so much. And The Force Awakens, I think, did what it had to do. It was at the point where there were a lot of people that were unsure about where they stood on Star Wars because those prequel movies, whether you like them or not,
Did a lot of
they they
damage.
did a lot of damage to the franchise, and a lot of people weren't sure if there was going to be any way to come back. When Disney bought Lucasfilm and they announced, oh, we're going to make more Star Wars movies, and then it was later announced that, oh, J.J. Abrams is going to be the person to bring this back. Everyone's like, oh, that's good. He's done good with these Star Trek movies, and then the whole cast was announced. The original people came back, and then they announced this incredible lineup of new people, unknowns mixed with pretty established actors, John Boyega and Adam Driver and Oscar Isaac, Andy Serkis, Domhnall Gleeson. I mean, the cast that they announced for the Lupita Nyong'o, like the
Daisy
cast that
Ridley.
Daisy Ridley, who was literally an unknown. No one knew who she was. She
Yeah.
had never been in the movie before. And for her first movie to be, a Star Wars movie, I mean, I can't even imagine the pressure that is being put
Yeah.
on you, like especially considering that you're the de facto lead of the trilogy. But in my head, I feel like this was Kylo Ren's story the whole time, so I'm just gonna go with that mindset. But I really do like The Force Awakens a lot. I think it's a great return to form for the series. It did what it had to do. It brought everything back. It made you feel very excited to be back in this world. And it moved very quickly. It was shot extraordinary well. The visuals were impeccable. I mean, a lot of practical effects you brought up before with Annette and the puppetry. The thing that I loved about this entire trilogy of Star Wars movies under Disney was that most of the effects that they had done were practical. A
Yeah.
lot of the sets that they built were practical. A lot of the creature work was practical. A lot of the ships were practical. You watch a film, you watch these 3 films and you compare them to the Marvel movies. The Marvel movies are bombarded with so much CGI, and it's unfortunate because the amount of money that Disney gives to Marvel, the CGI looks like crap. Not
And that's
always,
yeah.
but like for most of for now, like the last few years, the CGI has looked really shitty, and that's unfortunate because you
Yeah.
see the amount of pressure that these VFX stars go through. And when the work delivers, it really delivers. And these Star Wars movies have incredible visual effects. But going on to Adam's performance, the character was beautifully written. I'm sorry. If you haven't seen the movie at this point, I'm sorry. Like, it's going to happen. Listen, when it was revealed, in the movie that he was the son of Han Solo and Leia, I mean, that was a big gas in the movie theater for me. Here I am watching the movie with my friends, opening night. I was a senior in high school. I remember the excitement being like at an all-time high. I had already cried probably like 14 times. And then it was revealed, oh, hey, you're Han Solo's kid. And I'm like, oh, well, that's great. Oh, you kill him? Oh, that's wonderful. Great. Just rip my heart out, JJ. Real nice. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and I remember just, oh my gosh, like just that time is feels like forever ago, but like it was
I
such a
know.
important time, I feel like, at least in
I
my life.
it's it's so crazy that that was 7 years ago. It's
Yeah.
nuts. Like I remember like where I was when they dropped the first trailer for this movie, and then just seeing the movie in the theater, and just like I can't believe that this is real. I can't believe that we're actually getting the new Star Wars movie. And yeah, Kylo Ren's characterization increased as the films progressed. So yeah, this is the movie where he's in the least, I would say. But to me, it's the best of the Star Wars trilogy, the recent trilogy. And you could say The Last Jedi is the best. That's totally fine. If anyone out there says The Rise of Skywalker is the best, I'm sorry. Then you're dumb. I'm sorry. Now, if you want to talk about the stuff that they do with Kylo Ren, sure, fine. But as a movie, no. The Force Awakens is my number 5. I really enjoyed this film so much. It's one of the best blockbusters that have come out in the past 10 years. Like I said, did everything it needed to do. It brought Star Wars back to the forefront in a really great way. You can make the comparisons to say it's the same as episode 4, but literally every Star Wars movie is the same. I'm sorry to disappoint the Star Wars fans out there. Sure, there's different plot points in each of them, but they're pretty much beat for beat the exact same movie. I'm sorry, but it's true. And yeah, Adam Driver's Kylo Ren, perfect. And I guess the last line that I'll bring up with him was in The Last Jedi. I want to blow them out of the sky. I just, oh my God. And the amount of torture that he put on Hux, Domhnall Gleeson's character, I just love. I loved their back and forth
Yeah, me
throughout this year.
too.
I just loved it so much. And I would kill for them to make another movie together. Like, make it happen. Someone cast Adam Driver and Domhnall Gleeson as the two leads. Someone do it, please.
And
Anyone?
throw in Oscar Isaac in there too if you
Oh my
want.
God, it will
Totally
literally be
cool.
like Oscar. It will literally be like a whole triangle of people that have worked together. Damo, Oscar, Ex Machina, Oscar, and Adam inside Llewyn Davis. Oh my God, let's do it, please. Let's make it happen. I don't care what kind of genre it is. I don't care if it's a erotic. I don't care. I mean, they're all beautiful people, so it doesn't really matter to me. But yes, Force Awakens is my number 5. So, are you gonna pass, or is this not on your list?
So I guess how I approach my list is I picked like my favorite like movies, favorite performances of Adam, I suppose, or my favorite Adam characters in that
Right.
film. So it's not on my list, but like I totally agree with you. The Force Awakens is probably like the movie that I've seen the most out of any other movie. Maybe around 60, 70 times. Because when that movie came out, that's when I got into costuming and cosplay. So for a while there, I was in the Star Wars costuming community because I fell in love with Rey and her costuming. So I I'm still doing it. I'm still constantly trying to make that costume as screen accurate as possible. But back then, when we only had some screenshots, and then I got the DVD, and I just would watch it in order to see the costume and all its details. So yeah, I'm huge on that movie. I love it so much, and yeah, I agree. It did what it needed to do, and it makes me excited, and it's got some great scenes in it. Like I love when we're first introduced to Rey and there's just no words, like we're just kind of following her day, and that's probably one of my favorite
the
scenes.
the introductory music for her is like
Hmm.
one of the best compositions I think in the entire Star Wars saga.
Yeah,
Like,
I agree.
it's pretty perfect. And yeah, I mean,
And John Williams said himself like he was really unsure if he would come back and do more Star Wars work, but it was Rey's character that made him want to do it again, and you can
yeah.
definitely feel that in Rey's theme for
Oh my
sure.
God, absolutely. Because like the score for that trilogy, it is pretty good. I mean, it's John Williams. You can't really have any gripes about a John Williams score, but when you hear the score for those three films, they're kind of pretty similar to the previous six movies. Like there's so many notes and everything, but I Ray's theme is exceptional. And listen, there are people online that you could say whatever you want about the character of Ray. I don't care, but you can't deny that theme is pretty perfect.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. There's not a ton of like pretty iconic or very memorable like scenes in the score, but Ray's theme is makes me cry. It's amazing.
It's so good. It's so good. So now going into our number fours, what is your pick?
Or I went with Alan from What If, the rom-com with Daniel Radcliffe and Zoe Kazan.
Go into it. Why? Why do you love it? Why?
So every single thing this man says, and I just love that he's the best friend character in a rom-com. I think it's so weird. It was really unexpected. Like we talked about, Adam's just done like everything and anything. I would like to see him work with more female directors, I will say, but he has
100%.
gone through like all the genres. So I feel like some people, if they weren't even sure about all his filmography, I feel like this one is like one of the wild cards, because it's like so different. But either way, yeah, just so many great quotes that he says in it, and he's shouting a lot in it. And I feel like it was Kylo Ren before he actually got Kylo Ren in some ways, but yeah, I like him in that movie.
Do you have a favorite line from him in the movie? I mean, obviously, I feel like everyone's go-to favorite line from him is the I just had sex. I'm about to eat nachos, which is I mean, seriously, one of the best deliveries of any line I think ever. Like he really goes in as soon as he takes out the nachos and slams the mitt down and just yells that line. And just I can't even imagine how hard it must have been for Daniel Radcliffe to hold in his laughter because honestly, if I
Yeah,
were on that set, I would have probably lost my shit.
I
I
wouldn't be able to quote it like word for word, but his character does this like little analogy about how you can eat your poop the first time, but not the second time because it's toxic and you'll die. And he's comparing it to like relationship problems. But just so many good quotes that I feel like only him could really sell. But
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, oh my god. I love that movie. That movie is one of my favorite romantic comedies of the past 10 years. And it's so sad. Last week episode was the rom-com episode I did with our mutual friend Mariana, and I totally forgot to put that in my honorable mentions because that's a legit great rom-com. And I mean, if you're gonna have anyone play the best friend in a rom-com, I mean, Adam's a pretty perfect person to cast. And I love the back and forth between him and Dan. I think it's so great that they got to work together because, I mean, obviously, like I hinted at, I'm a massive Potterhead, and I think it was really cool to see Daniel Radcliffe do a romantic comedy. This was maybe like a year or two after Harry Potter wrapped up, so you're curious to see what he's going to jump into after doing this very epic, long-spanning franchise that he did from when he was a kid to a young adult, and he decides to do this rom-com with the very lovely Zoe Kazan, who I think is so underrated. She is so talented.
Oh
She's
yeah.
one of the best in the industry. Great actress, great writer, just all around fantastic talent. And Adam, he is the scene stealer of this entire film. He's so fun to
Yeah.
watch. I love, like you said, the advice that he gives. I can't find one of the quotes that he says, but I'm trying to
Yeah.
find the quotes that he would say in the movie because oh
Just
my
there's so
god.
many good ones. And another thing I just find so funny is when his character meets, his partner, they're
Mackenzie
just
Davis.
yeah, they're just so obsessed with each
Oh
other
my
and they
god.
do
He,
aggressive making out like all the time.
my god, he literally he literally goes in. It's just, oh my god, I think it's so funny. Oh, here we go. So I have the quote pulled up right here. He's like, 100% honesty is the foundation of any relationship. Well, you're 100% honest with Nicole. Yes. About everything? Yeah. What? Nuance 2006. What was her name? Fabia? Yeah, she did look like a woman, to be fair. 99% honesty is the foundation of any relationship.
It's good. I
His
love him
delivery is
as.
pretty perfect. Also, could we just talk about how crazy the height difference is between him and Dan?
Oh
He's a
yeah.
he's a fucking giant compared to Dan, who's a fucking midget. It's
Wait, do we know how tall Dan is? Is he like
uh let me look that up. I've seen him in person. I saw him on Broadway like 10 years ago, and he
oh,
is a midget. He is very short. Oh my god, it's ridiculous.
I don't
Daniel
know if he's
Radcliffe,
shorter than me.
he's 5'5".
Oh my gosh. Okay, so now I have a visual representation of what I'd look like next to Adam Driver.
Oh my god, yeah, you compare like, and they're giving me the whole height for the Harry Potter cast. Emma Watson's 5'5" and Rupert Grint's 5'8".
Oh yeah, I guess like side note, but I think it's so funny that in the books, like Harry's supposed to actually be like very tall of a character, but there was no
Mm,
way to
Yeah,
see
and
this coming.
yeah, in the movies they make him out to be like the second tallest. It's like Ron's the tallest, and then Harry, and then Hermione's slightly shorter. But then in real life, it's like he's the shortest, then Emma's in the middle, then Rupert's at the top. Like that's just how it goes. Adam is
Yeah.
supposedly 6'2". Like that's, oh my god, insanity. I'm so glad you brought up What If, because oh my god, seriously, a truly great rom-com. It does everything a rom-com should do. It makes you laugh, it makes you feel. It has a great romance. Dan and Zoe work off each other beautifully, and then Adam and
Yeah.
Mackenzie are really great, and then the supporting characters are really great. Rafe Spall, he is insanely good in this. Very underrated performance. I love the sequence where Dan runs and then he accidentally pushes him out the window, and then
Yeah,
everyone's
and
like, "Are
it's
you?"
cool. Sorry.
Go no, go ahead, go ahead.
It's just it's also like was cool of it to be kind of from like the man's perspective because we really are, we're hanging out with Daniel and Adam like for most of the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Zoe isn't in it like I feel like too much, we don't get to see her side of everything until maybe the end, but
Right.
yeah, there's a lot of Adam in that movie, so that's why
There
it's one of my favorites.
there is, and the funny thing is with him, well, going back with Dan, he accidentally bumps into him, he falls out the window, and everyone's like, "Are you okay?" He's like, "I'm sorry. You look fine."
It's
Oh, it's
great. I love
incredible.
that collectively, like everyone just loves Daniel Radcliffe's career because he took the route of, also kind of doing really absurd projects, but yeah, why not? That should really be what Hollywood is. Like, let's just make a bunch of weird stuff and see what happens.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh, what has Daniel Radcliffe done after Harry Potter? He hasn't done anything." I mean, have you seen what he picks? Like, he picks any kind of role. I mean, yeah, he does some studio tentpole projects. Like, he was just in that Lost City movie, which he was really funny, and he was really funny in that. But I like that he's doing all these smaller independent films. Like, I mean, my God, his work in Swiss Army Man is exceptional. I don't care what anyone says about the movie. His performance in that is really phenomenal. And for him to go the route that he went is incredible. Now all of a sudden this is turning into a Daniel Radcliffe podcast. That will happen eventually, but I mean it's obvious that all top 5 films are going to be Harry Potter related. So moving on from your number 4 to my number 4, I'm going to go with the film where Adam received his first Academy Award nomination. That's Spike Lee's Black Klansman. The true
Mm.
story of Ron Stallworth, who is a cop who decides to infiltrate the KKK by pretending to be a white guy. And then he has Adam Driver pretend to be said guy, but shenanigans ensue based on a true story. It's insane that this all happened. It's crazy that you watch this and you're like, oh my God, I cannot believe that this actually happened. And let me just say that Spike Lee isn't my favorite filmmaker. I do think when he hits, he really knocks it out of the park, but he's one of those filmmakers that when he misses, he really misses. But this is a big hit for him. And I think the reason why it works so well is because of the two leading performances from John David Washington and Adam Driver. I want to shout out John David Washington first, since he's the star of the movie. Fantastic performance. I mean, a lot of people were worried that he only got cast because, oh, he's the son of Denzel, who's obviously a pioneer of acting. But John David held his own and did an exceptional job. He was incredible. I mean, the guy sounds literally like Denzel. It's kind of scary when you think about it, but his performance was really phenomenal. And Adam did great. I mean, he was already great enough like prior to this, but I mean, this performance really was great. And the thing that I really like about his character, Flip, in this movie is that, you know, he obviously is not happy with the fact that he has to do this because he's very dedicated to his job, but he obviously wants to take down the KKK. But, he also has to deny and say all these bad things about his religion. He's a Jew and he has to say all these terrible things. And in your head, you're like, can't even imagine what it was like to go through that process. And then also, like, you're scared for him. You don't know what's going to happen to him. You're terrified for the guy. He's just a cop doing his job, going undercover as a member of the KKK. And I'll tell you that one guy with the beard, the mustache, or whatever, one of the scariest characters, I think, in film in recent memory. Like, that guy was phenomenal. I mean, the whole cast did a great job. Everyone did great. Topher Grace, oh my God, he's come a long way since that 70s show. Eric Foreman used to be a sweet man, and now he's playing David Duke. And I mean, oh my God, I mean, you went from really liking him to completely hating him like in a split second. But he also added a lot of charisma to David Duke, which I think worked very well. I think that's kind of why Spike Lee might have cast someone like Topher Grace to play him, because if he had cast someone who primarily plays villains, it would have been obvious. Now, granted, Topher Grace played Venom in Spider-Man 3, but other than that, he's never really played a villain before. Because, I mean, if you look at Eric Foreman from that 70s show, he's like the sweetest kid ever. And now he's playing the leader of the KKK. And it's like, oh my God, so much range. But I love the movie. It's very funny. It moves at a breakneck pace. The screenplay is very strong. Dialogue is great. It won the Academy Award for Best Adapted Screenplay. It was actually Spike Lee's first Oscar win, which is shocking considering he's been a celebrated filmmaker for over 30 years at this point.
Yeah, that's
And
wild.
it is why he should have won the Oscar for Ryan Do the Right Thing, but that's in the past. Unfortunately, we can't get what we want always when it comes to these award shows. But I mean, hey, award shows don't matter. I mean, they do, but they don't control how you feel about a movie or a show or a song or a book or whatever.
Yeah.
But I love Black Klansman. It's a truly great film. And I think Adam really knocked it out of the park. And I'm really happy that he got a lot of nominations throughout the season. I didn't expect him to get nominated for an Oscar because if you had to ask me, like, at the end of that year, who do you think is going to get nominated for Oscars? Adam Driver honestly wouldn't have been in my top 5, but I was happy to see him have this successful award season, which was then repeated the following year. We'll probably get to that film shortly. And I love this movie so much. Adam's great. John David is great. And yeah, if you're going to cast anyone in some buddy film of sorts, buddy comedy, and you got to have Adam as one of those set buddies in the buddy comedies. Even though this isn't a comedy, it's a pretty funny movie, even though it's horrifically dark at times and it's very depressing to watch. And it's terrifying too. And yeah, great film, truly great performance. Love it so much. So are you going to pass or is this not on your list?
This is not on my list. But that was the summer of Movie Pass. So
That's
I
right.
I
That's right.
specifically just, if you were a movie at this in that summer, whatever that year was,
2018.
2018. I do have a soft spot for it though, I will say. For any movie I saw, like I remember the Meg specifically for some reason. But I do have some tonal issues with that film. It very much has the dark comedy, but some, very scary stuff. And I don't think it balances it as well as it maybe could have, but there's still, lots of good stuff in it. And I love Adam in it. And I think that was definitely like a pretty hard role it must have been. He does say the N-word quite a few times, and I know that makes some people uncomfortable, but I think, that is how we are supposed to feel But yeah, not on my list though.
I, I respect your opinion. I respect that. So now going into our number threes, what do you have?
I have I have Charlie in Marriage Story for my number three. Um yeah. That one, I did rewatch that one before this, and I just remembered how much I loved it. One of my favorite directors. I mean, he just has a way with getting like the realism out of people, very much doesn't ever seem like people are acting in his movies. And Adam just does a really good job with that kind of acting. I also feel like where everything he does feels so natural and like he's just a real person. It's really emotional. I really, I guess, love just about the film that like Randy Newman's music in it is such a interesting choice. That I don't know, like I just love I love how real it is about love, I guess. Um, Specifically like the first, a big part of it is both of them saying like what they love about each other and then, what they don't like about each other. And they're just such real things that I feel like are really relatable. Especially when you've been with someone for like a long time. There's just like it's different. If you've been with your partner for years. So yeah, it's tragic to see two people who were best friends and but realizing that they can't be anymore. Because I think another thing about having a partner is it can be easy to lose your individualism, especially if you're young together or if you work together, and that's the case in this movie. So you have to be really strong in order to realize that and decide that you need to change your life to find yourself. So yeah, I just think that all these themes that it touches about being in a relationship in a partnership is really tragic, and I feel that really intensely with Adam's performance, because it's like it's he has heartbreak in so many ways in this movie. Like there's of course like the intense ones where they're like fighting intensely or when they're actually, in court and signing the divorce, but there's also like the little things where he starts to realize that he's losing something really big, that he cares about in little ways, like in the beginning, like where she will be like, so where are you staying tonight? And he realizes, oh, he's not going to stay here. Like, this isn't something I can do anymore. And so, yeah, just losing a big part of your life is really tragic and starting a new chapter. And so we just kind of see that with both of them in that movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass. I'm gonna pass on this one. So my number three, honestly, for me, I think this might be the hardest film to watch in his filmography because of how gruesome the subject matter is and the runtime and everything else that goes into it. So my number three is Silence, directed by Martin Scorsese. I'm a big Scorsese fan. We just did an episode on him a few weeks ago. And I mean, the amount of work that he has put out is just unprecedented. And the amount of talented actors that he's worked with throughout the years has been incredible. And when you heard that he's going to be directing a film starring two of the most gorgeously talented people ever in Adam and Andrew Garfield, I mean, you can't pass on that. But then you realize, oh, it's about this two priests going to find their mentor in like 16th century Japan, and oh, they're really gaunt looking. Oh, that's a sight to be seen. And I mean, what I love so much about this film is that it just crawls under your skin and you have no idea where it's going. The entire time you're shaking and you're on the edge of your seat. it moves very, very slow. It takes its time getting to where it needs to go, but I have to be honest, it was absolutely engrossing the entire runtime. This movie clocks in at almost 3 hours long, and it's very slow, like I said, compared to a lot of other Scorsese films, who is known for making films that move at a breakneck pace. They move very quickly, very snappy with their dialogue. I mean, going from a very snappy film like Wolf of Wall Street to then doing something so slow and quiet like this, I mean, that's an interesting shift. Like, that is an insane shift. And the acting on display here from everybody is jaw-droppingly incredible. Andrew Garfield, in my humble opinion, he had gotten nominated that year for Hacksaw Ridge, which was a very good performance, and I'm very happy he got nominated for that. But I will be honest, this was the better performance, and he should have been nominated for this. I think that this is some of the best acting Andrew's ever done, and he's one of those actors that has given great performance one after the other. And you've never seen him in anything like this. He goes places that you never would have anticipated. There are sequences where he is so like regretful of everything that has happened, and he's questioning everything, his religion, his faith, his purpose. He's questioning it all. And that's the thing that's so great about this movie, is that because it's so different from anything Scorsese has done, the idea of tackling something like questioning your purpose and your religion and your faith and hope and everything. I mean, you never would have pictured someone like Martin Scorsese to tackle a subject like this, and he did it beautifully. And Andrew's performance is really unbelievable. It may honestly be the best acting he's ever done. It's really hard to say because his performance in The Social Network is really top tier, and recently his work in Tick Tick Boom was also incredible. So it's really hard to pinpoint what the best actor from Andrew is. And Adam here, I mean, Andrew looked very gaunt in the movie. I will be upfront, but Adam, oh my God, now he went really in with losing all this weight. Now, from what I read about the timing of them making this movie, he had shot Force Awakens, and then immediately after they finished shooting, that's when he started beginning to lose all this weight. I think he had 2.5 to 3 months to lose all this weight, which I mean, that's a very quick period to lose, to shred like as many pounds as he did. And there are so many sequences where you look at him and you're kind of just like terrified to look at him because of how gaunt he looks. And his character goes down quite the spiral throughout the movie. No spoilers, of course, because I know there are so many people out there that still haven't seen this movie, which is so sad because it's Martin Scorsese, Adam Driver, and Andrew Garfield, and Liam Neeson. I get it. The subject is very, you have to be in the mood for a movie like this. You can't just watch this like randomly. Like, if you're in the mood to watch someone happy, this is not the kind of movie that you put on. Now, if you're in the mood for a really depressing downer, I mean, this is the perfect candidate. You put this on and then you'll be good to go. And then you'll want to watch a comedy right afterwards. I remember when I went to go see this in theaters, I saw this the opening night it came out, and it just drained me so much. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna go home and watch American Pie because I need to laugh. So it helped out greatly. But no, I really think that this is one of the best films that Scorsese's ever done. Adam's performance is incredible. I love his character arc. I love the journey through with both of these characters. And again, like, you talk about great parents. I mean, I don't think this film would have worked as beautifully as it did if you didn't have the great parent that was Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver. I mean, they both really, really, really knocked it out of the park. And I really think that this is a must watch for anyone that loves Scorsese and the actors involved. And it really is one of those films to where, regardless of where you stand religiously, I think it's a good film to watch because it's not gonna like say like, oh, you have to feel this way or whatever. You could feel whatever way you want. I just judge the movie for how it's made and how it's put together and how it's acted, written, and directed. And across the board, it's phenomenally done. And I really should have gotten more love award season. I would have nominated Adam. I would have nominated Andrew. I would have nominated Marty for director, and I absolutely 100% would have nominated the film for best picture. It only got a cinematography nomination, which is so sad. Now, cinematography wise, it's breathtaking to look at. It's very gorgeous compared. It's very different from Scorsese's other films, but it just works so well. And I would love to see him work with Scorsese again. And again, bringing back that comment that I brought up earlier, Martin Scorsese literally said that working with Adam was one of the best things of his career. And he talked about how Adam is straight up one of the best, if not the best actor of his generation. So you guys got to listen to what Marty says. Like Marty doesn't shy away from his opinions on stuff, but when he's right, he is correct, and he is 100% correct about this movie. Silence is great. It's a really tough watch. It's definitely, like I said, the hardest film to watch in Adam Driver's filmography, not just because of the length, but really because of the subject matter. But I love it. I think it's a masterpiece. So, where do you stand on Silence? I would assume it's not on your list, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the movie.
I will be honest, I haven't seen it. But I want to now. And
It's so
yeah,
good.
like I'm okay with watching like long things, maybe things that some people would think maybe boring. Like I have a good tolerance for films like that. So I will be watching it. But I think like just to touch on like, since Scorsese said that he just loved working with Adam, I think Adam too just has this professionalism with acting. And I think that also has to do with like his shyness and maybe anxiety of it is like it's I feel like if he could wish that he could have this job without having like, you know, the idolization that just the world gives towards actors, I think, he would wish that because he has a great balance of like professionalism and like also like the love of the art behind it. And I think he also just loves cinema, which I feel like you can't say that about every actor. He just loves film and yeah.
He does, and that's why it's so great that he's done like a mix of these high profile studio tentpole films, and then he's done these very smaller, like awardsy type of movies, and even some very obscure films too. So just the amount of range that he has and the commitment that he has to his craft and willing to tackle projects that he may have never done and like so different from one another. I just love that about him. So now going into our top two, this is going to be really fascinating. I think we have one of the same films in our top two. Now, obviously, I passed on one of the films that you talked about. I'm not going to say where it is, but I'm really curious to know what your top two is. So, what is your number two?
I'm gonna go with Patterson in that film, which I feel like is that the one maybe you have too?
We'll
Maybe.
see.
um I wrote a lot about Patterson.
Speak all
Um
about it.
um I mean, I love this movie. It's no plot, just vibes, kind of movie that I genuinely love. Because there's such a beauty in the mundane. And like for example, what you do for money doesn't have to be your passion. I mean, of course, that would be a great ideal if you're able to work in what you're passionate about. But the truth is, like, not everyone is able to, and that's completely okay, because you can always do your passion outside of work. And, a lot of times, your passion can dwindle from the stresses of having to live off of it. So I just really love that this character in this movie, is just about a guy who is a bus driver. He lives in a town that he loves. He has a wife that he loves, and he, is able to, with this job, like, pursue his passions, about poetry. So, there is that moment where his wife wants him to do something with his poems and, put it in a novel or something. And he finally, when he has the courage to do so, his notebook is ruined with everything. And he does have to start over,
Oh,
but and that is like such a heartbreaking moment in it because it is really scary to put yourself out there with your passions. And, we can tell like that this character, is maybe a little like anxious about doing something about it. And so, but yeah, so I love that movie. I love we got to see husband Adam, dog dad Adam, and it's It's not a crazy film. It's not a crazy superhero film. Not a lot happens, but also it's a lot happens though, because that's life.
Perfect way to describe it. It is also my number two. I I remember walking out of the movie being so floored by what I had just watched because I really think that we should get more movies like this to where, you know, I can understand some people being a little thrown off by watching a movie that doesn't really necessarily have a plot. I get it. I totally understand that. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people just love to have a plot. I get it. I totally understand. And there are some movies that I have watched, and I'm sure you've watched some too, to where they are plotless and they don't work very well. This, on the other hand, works beautifully because of how it's written, how it just moves along, and Adam's performance. It it's a really incredible performance. It's very restrained, it's very calm, and it's very lovely. Yeah, I love seeing the husband Adam Driver. I love seeing dog dad Adam Driver. I love seeing poet Adam Driver. You know what? Hell, I love seeing bus driver Adam Driver. I love it. I love it
Who
so much.
got
And
his bus driving license to
he
do
got his bus
this?
driving license. That's right. And I mean, I've said this before on the podcast, but I have a very soft spot for when films are set and shot here in New Jersey because we don't really get many films like that here. And this film, I mean, I'll be upfront. Patterson is not the best town ever. It's not the best town. There are obviously every town is not perfect,
But the majority of
but
people in
yeah,
just the world live in places like this. And
exactly,
so,
exactly. I was going to get to that next. That's
mhm.
exactly true. And I think it's very cool that Jim Jarmusch decided, oh hey, I'm going to make a movie about this guy who's a poet but also a bus driver. Where am I going to set it? Oh, Patterson, New Jersey. I don't know why you would set it in New Jersey, Jim. I mean, you could pick many better places, but hey, New Jersey representation. I love it so much. And yeah, I mean, oh my god,
Yeah,
Marvin the dog. Marvin the dog. Oh my god. Oh my god. I hate you, Marvin. Oh my god. Oh my
yeah.
god. The notebook
And
stuff, it just it just breaks my heart every time I watch the movie. And I just rewatched it 2 nights ago and I'm just like, oh my god. Like when it's coming and then you watch it, you're just like, oh no. It's oh my god, I
I
can't.
know, but also like his reaction being just so calm and is also great. Like, hence why I would want him to meet my family. Like he just seems he's able to control his emotions, and
Yeah.
that's also why you feel the love between him and his wife, because they're just so sweet to each other,
Can
which
we talk
is
about how incredible she was? Because I feel like when everyone talked about this movie, no one really gave her any mentions. She was incredible in this. The
what
woman
is
who
that
played.
character's job again? I don't
So
remember.
she has like many different ambitions. I don't remember exactly what her job is on top of my head, but
Gotcha.
she is someone who just loves doing so many different things. Like she wants to be a singer, she wants to be an artist, she wants to be a baker. She tries to do all these different things. And keep in mind too, this movie only takes place within a week. Like it's just a slice of life movie, and those are some of my favorite kind of movies. Like the reason why the coming of age genre is probably my favorite genre is because we get so many of those movies where it is a slice of life where we follow a day or a week or maybe a few years and just like watching someone go about their day-to-day routines. And yeah, that could be boring sometimes. It could be boring, but if it's executed well enough, it works very well. And I love seeing what Patterson does. I love seeing him, hang out with his wife, write the poetry, drive the buses, go to the bar for the beer. I love seeing him
Mhm.
interact with all these patrons. I love seeing him interact with the people that get on the bus. I love the sequence where it's the kids from Moonrise Kingdom talking. I thought that was incredible. And I I just really love this movie, and it's just one of the most relaxing movies ever. Honestly, if you want a movie that will make you calm down, if you're like at a high point with stress, I mean, this is a good movie to put on. It's so relaxing and meditative, and sure, you freak out with what happens at the end with the poems, but and then it just ends like so subtly and so beautifully. And you know, like the fact that this person comes by and just hands him this notebook, and then he just starts over. And it's so beautiful, in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I agree with you. Not everyone gets to work doing the passion that they have, and that's okay. Like, look,
Because what he does is
yep,
important, to the community because
exactly.
of his kindness too with everyone that he meets and talks to. So like even if you aren't, the biggest in the industry you would like to be in, or even if, some people don't even want to work in what they are passionate about, like what you do is still important in some
Absolutely,
way.
absolutely. And you know, I will also be upfront and say that I haven't really delved into Jim Jarmusch's filmography because this is just one of the best films I think I've ever seen. And like, I know that he's made a lot of great stuff. Like, I know that a lot of people love his work, but I'm just gonna every time I'm gonna be watching someone that he's made, and I'm like, is this gonna top Harrison? Probably not. But you
I
know,
mean, he does lots of different stuff, which is
he
pretty
does.
cool,
Yeah, he's very versatile, very eclectic filmography. I mean, after this, he made a zombie comedy. I mean, like,
which didn't really work for me, but I did
no,
watch because
it
of
didn't really
Adam.
it didn't really work for me either. Unfortunately, Adam was good in it, of course, but I think the best parts were with him and Bill Murray. But um, yeah, Patterson really is an incredible film. It's just one of the best films in Adam's filmography. It's one of the best films set in New Jersey, and it really straight up is one of the best films I think I've ever seen. I love the movie. I'm not going to stop gushing about it. It's a truly incredible film. If you guys have not watched Patterson, please do yourself a favor and check it out. It is slow, it takes its time, and I'm going to be the person that says this whenever a film deserves to move at a slow pace and it benefits the way that the story is being presented, then that's great. Massive thumbs up. Because sometimes when certain movies are really, really rushed, it deteriorates the entire movie experience. Jim Jarmusch making this movie slow and relaxing and laid back and chill was the best way to go about with this movie. And if
Yeah.
he had made this movie move at a breakneck pace to where it felt like 90 minutes as opposed to it being the 2 hour runtime it is, then it 100% would not have worked. But this movie is incredible. 2016 really was a hell of a year for Adam doing this in silence back to back. I mean, that's an impressive year. I must say so myself. I love the film. I'm happy that we got to talk about it. So now it's really interesting to know what your number one is. Now, obviously, you had talked about how you're not necessarily going by films, you're going by characters. So I'm really curious to know what your number one is.
Um, it's Kylo Ren. But I guess I did specifically kind of think of Kylo in The Last Jedi because, like we said, he we don't even see his face till like halfway through The Force Awakens. But this is the one where he destroys the mask and we finally, get to see Kylo and specifically kind of focus on his his like dilemma within himself and figuring out who he is. And he's such a heartbreaking character because as we find out in this movie, like he's just been manipulated his entire life. And so yeah, I love Adam in it because again, just his face acting, he's so good at showing us like every little thought that he's thinking of. And I love the force bond between Kylo and Rey in this film. So I love those moments as well. But yeah, that's my number one.
Can we talk about how beautiful that close up was when he was like contemplating whether or not to blow that ship that Leia was on? Like the close up on
Yeah.
him, like that. I mean, that was really fucking powerful stuff. And I remember when I first saw the movie, and that whole sequence happened, and my jaw dropped, and I'm like, "What the fuck is going on?" And just seeing that close up and just seeing that, like, you could just see that he really does not want to do this. I mean, he killed his father, and now it's like, oh my god, am I gonna kill my mother now? Like, what kind
Yeah.
of person am I? And they obviously tie into that a lot more in the Rise of Skywalker, but yeah, I mean, just it was really impressive to see how much further Rian Johnson developed the character of Kylo Ren, because a lot of people were pissed off about regarding The Last Jedi was that Rian Johnson took a lot of what JJ had set up and like tossed it out the window. But he kept everything that JJ had set up with Kylo Ren because he was probably so fascinated with what JJ had brought to that. And he was like, I want to add on to this, but not change anything to what JJ was trying to do. And then when Kylo's arc concluded in The Rise of Skywalker, I mean, it's a truly incredible arc. It's a beautiful character. And yeah, he's broken. And you just see that specifically in this movie when he destroys the masks, and then he's having these conversations with Ray, and then he takes off his shirt, and then he does all these other things, and then the stuff with Snoke happens, which that that sequence in Snoke's like throne room or whatever the heck it is, that's one of the best sequences in the entire saga. That was really incredible stuff. Love or hate the movie, you have to admit that that was some of the best. And I honestly like to think that this movie might have been the best shot Star Wars movie, because I mean the colors in that room were so vibrant, like the red just popped out, and the whole lightsaber sequence was just, oh my god, it left me shaken. I hate using this word, but I was shook. I was shook when watching that sequence. It really knocked my socks off. And man, you know what? Talking about The Last Jedi with you, I think I'm starting to really like the movie again. I don't know. That's what happens sometimes on this podcast. You talk about some movies and you're like, oh, hey, I enjoyed it a lot more now than I ever did. So, now with that being said, my number one, very cliched pick, my number one's Marriage Story. I have seen this film a ridiculously amount of times, which is crazy because the subject matter is literally about a divorce, and that's so not happy whatsoever. I have many friends that have gone through this kind of, they've gone through this. I can't relate to it. So that's why going into the movie, I was like, how is this movie really going to hit with me? I can't relate to anything that's going on. My parents are still together. I don't like, how is this going to work for me? And I walked out of the movie floored by literally every possible thing in this movie. I'm glad you brought up Randy Newman's score, because I have to ask you this. When you first heard that score, didn't it sound kind of like a Toy Story score to you? But
I feel like I didn't even I try to like not look things up when I'm watching movies
right.
just because kind of like take everything in. But
Yeah.
like I was always like, oh, that this sounds so familiar, and then realizing who it is
Oh,
like
it's
halfway
Randy
through the
Newman. Yeah.
movie. Yeah.
It literally sounded like a Toy Story score. Like that's just how incredible it sounded. Like you heard so many of the notes that you would hear throughout the Toy Story films in this, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, because I didn't know that he composed the movie until I was watching it. And I was like, why does that music sound familiar? It's gotta be Randy Newman. And then at the end, they're like, music by Randy Newman. I'm like, there we go. I was correct. I'm so proud of myself. But no, Marriage Story, this to me is the best acting that Adam's ever done. He hasn't been better than this. I mean, we'll have to see what happens throughout his career. I mean, there's just so many more films that he has coming out, but he really knocked it out of the park here. And what I loved so much about Marriage Story regarding his relationship with Nicole, who Scarlett Johansson, I mean, she deserves a big round of applause too. She was also unbelievable in this. And I mean, I bought them as former lovers, and then just like, they want to be friends. They want to find a way to stay in each other's lives, not just for the sake of their child, but they want to, still be together in some capacity. And
Yeah, because
yet,
when you're with someone for so long, like it kind of almost shifts as kind of like a marriage or like a relationship, and becomes like truly like a partnership and like
yeah,
a very much like just best friends, just two people, two humans that know each other so well. And I love that about that movie because I feel like we see that in every little thing that they do.
yeah. And what I love too about the movie is that the movie doesn't try to make you side with any of them. Like you understand where Charlie's coming from when he talks about Nicole, and you understand where Nicole is coming from when she's talking about Charlie. You're not necessarily agreeing with what they're doing and how they feel about each other and what they want to do to help for the sake of their child. But at the same time, you get where they're both coming from, because my thing too, when walking into the movie, I'm like, is Noah gonna try to make us automatically side with Charlie, or is he gonna make us side with Nicole, or is it gonna be one of those scenarios where you kind of are in the middle, you're on the fence, and that's the thing. Like you understand where both of them are coming from, and I like how with most movies tackling separations or divorces or breakups, the movies try to make you side with one person. It's like it's never like you understand where both of them are coming from. And this is one of those examples where you understand where they're both coming from and why everything's happening. And it's sad. It's sad to watch. It really is sad to watch because, like you said, they were together for many years and then they grew apart. And, the sequences where, I mean, the way the film opens is really great with them reading the letters that they wrote about each other. And then, you get that for that sequence where Scarlett Johansson, Nicole visits Nora, Laura Dern's character, and she just explains how the relationship started and basically what led to the end. And in a beautiful one take, like incredible one take, it's impressive. Um, I and then the big fight. Best acted scene of that year, in my opinion. I think Adam and Scarlett were the best performers of any movie that year. I really think Adam should have won the Oscar for this. I think it's honestly really disappointing that he didn't. And I know that a lot of people online hate Joker, but there's also a lot of people that love Joker. I am a fan of Joker. I think Joaquin was incredible in the movie, and I'm happy that he won for a good performance. But at the same time, it feels like one of those scenarios to where it was more so a win for his career and not necessarily for the performance itself. Adam's performance in Marriage Story is one of the best fucking performances I think I've ever seen in my life. And the fact that he did not win for this is really disappointing. I know for a fact that if Joker had not come out that same year, Adam would have swept the best actor race. He would have won practically everywhere. And I think Scarlett would have won everywhere too if Judy didn't come out. And that's another scenario to where Renee Zellweger, she was good in Judy. She did a great job, but her work was not as good as Scarlett Johansson's in Marriage Story. And Scarlett Johansson was a double nominee that year. She got nominated for this and Jojo Rabbit. And I mean, talk about two completely different films and two completely different roles. Like a great year for her as well. And I just love everything about Marriage Story. I love the writing. I love the directing. I love everyone's performance. Laura Dern was great. She should not have won the Oscar in my opinion, but she did a great job. She was very feisty in her role. I loved her monologue later on in the film. I love the courtroom sequences. Well, sequence, there's only one. I loved Alan Alda. He was so sweet and wholesome as the first lawyer. I love the sequence where he tells the joke and he goes on and on. And Charlie's like, "I'm sorry, Bert, am I paying for this joke?" I love it. oh, I
Yeah, and I've
it's
had a lot of like actor friends tell me, like yelling and screaming is not hard for actors to do. Like it's kind of like, you know. But so yeah, that's not even like my favorite like scene in that film, which was interesting that they chose that one to kind of like advertise the film in the award season and stuff, but it truly is like the quieter moments and the quieter heartbreaks in the
Yeah, the
film that
quieter moments are like really top tier because you see the glimpses of how they don't want to let each other go. Like, I think the sequence that stands out the most when it comes to that is the sequence where he goes to her house and tries to help close the gate. And then as they're closing the gate, like you just get the shots of both of them, and you could just see like they don't want to let each other go. Like, even though they're at this place where they can't be together, you could just see a little glimmer that they don't want to let each other go, and it's honestly really heartbreaking. It's
yeah, because
really
like
hard.
yeah, breakups and just are so hard, and I feel like it takes kind of everyone to kind of realize like you can't really be in each other's lives afterwards because it's just too messy. And but it sucks because like I said, like when you're with someone for so long, you're like best friends. Like what do you do with the knowledge of everything you have about another person if once you're not in each other's lives anymore? So yeah, just heartbreaking movie.
It truly is, but also, I mean, There are some really funny moments in the movie too. Like it's able to balance comedy and drama really well. And that's the thing that Noah Baumbach has done practically with all of his movies. He's able to balance the humor and the depressing moments really, really well. And also, one more shout out in terms of the acting. I it breaks my heart that we lost Ray Liotta a few months ago. It still stains to this day. And he was really fucking good in this movie for his time. And he was very loud. This is what I always pictured. If Henry Hill became a lawyer, this is exactly how I pictured it happening. I loved the whole courtroom scene. I love the sequence where we first meet Jay, who Ray Liotta's character is named. The whole cast, I mean, did an incredible job. And you know what? After watching this movie, I'm like, could we cast Adam Driver in a Sondheim movie, please? Like,
Totally.
seriously, like, I
Because
mean,
that is where Adam got his, start in acting, was Broadway and off Broadway. And I know he was on a Broadway show with Kerry Russell, I think a few years
yes,
ago. I didn't
mm-hmm.
get to see that, but
Near to I
yeah,
unfortunately,
yeah, but would love to. I think that's really where he stands out. And I think that's kind of like how Annette is as well. I think it's kind of structured, it is structured like a play. So
mm-hmm.
um yeah, I think he definitely shines in roles like that.
It's just so good. There's just so much to say about Marriage Story, but I mean, what could you say that hasn't been said already? It really is an incredible film. It's one of the best films of the last 10 years. Noah Baumbach is a genius. Adam is great in the movie. Scarlett's great in the movie. The entire ensemble knocks it out of the park. The dialogue is great. Everything about Marriage Story rocks. And it's just weird because it's one of those movies to where I put this movie on in the background like all the time. And I don't know why. Because again, it's not a happy movie at all. It's not happy in the slightest, but I don't know. It moves really well. The dialogue is really fucking good. And I don't know. This movie just resonated with me a lot more than I thought it would. And yeah, I love Marriage Story so much. And, obviously, this was a very interesting way to do this episode. Jamie coming on to, rank her characters as opposed to the films. And I honestly think that this was a perfect way to do the episode. I think it was very cool. It led to a very interesting discussion about Adam. So let's just recap our list before we talk about some of the films that didn't make our cut, or in this case for Jamie, some of the characters that didn't make the cut. So, Jamie, why don't you recap your list from 5 to 1?
So we did um Henry from Annette was my 5. 4 was Alan and What If. And then we got Charlie and Marriage Story, Patterson and Patterson, and Kylo Ren in, I guess, The Last Jedi.
And to recap my list of the films, number 5 is Star Wars: The Force Awakens. Number 4 is Black Klansman. Number 3 is Silence. Number 2 is Patterson, and my number 1 is Marriage Story. So, to talk about some of the films slash characters that didn't make the cut. So, what are some characters that you want to give a shout out to that didn't make your top 5?
Um, him and Logan Lucky almost got on my list.
Yes,
Because I love that movie.
it's so good.
I love him in that movie, with the accent, but I find like the comic aspects in his character really funny, because I have an uncle that lost his arm during an accident when he was really young. So I feel like a lot of those kind of self-deprecating jokes that he has in the film with his missing arm is like genuinely really funny, just because it feels very similar to the way that my uncle will talk about it as well. So yeah, Logan Lucky didn't make the list, but it was almost there. Um, Another one. I mean, I'm very excited about him being with Greta Gerwig again. Because even if he's only in Frances Ha a little bit, I love seeing little Adam and you know, young Adam living in New York, kind of scrappy and figuring things out. Might have also made the list, but didn't.
I love Francis Ha so much. I fucking love that movie. That movie is great. The only reason why I couldn't put it on my list is because, it was such a small role that,
Yeah.
it wouldn't have made sense to put that on the list. My personal, funny enough, I would have put, if his role in this were a lot bigger, this probably could have been number one for me. Inside Llewyn Davis, one of my all time favorite films, easily my favorite film from the Coen brothers, and that's where I was introduced to Daddy Oscar. So it's kind of a special film for me. And I love Adam's little time on screen, the sequence where he Lewin and Justin Timberlake's character are saying, "Please, Mr. Kennedy," and Adam's just going, "Outer space." I love it's so good. It's so good. Like the comedic timing, just the way he says space.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. Um, Logan Lucky is incredible. I love that movie too.
I'm a
I
sucker
love
for heist movies,
Oh,
so when there's a good one.
I love a good heist movie, and it was cool that Sober came out of retirement to make this movie. And yeah, I mean, I never thought the pairing of Channing Tatum and Adam Driver would be a pairing that I would want, but my God, it was incredible. And then you add on, in my humble opinion, one of the best supporting performances in any comedy that I may have ever seen. Daniel Craig is really unbelievable in this movie. The accent that he has, the bleach blonde hair. I mean, you look at him and you're like, I don't see James Bond. I see, what's his character's name in that movie? Joe Bane. Oh my God. Like
Yeah.
literally, he stole the entire movie. There's so many sequences where it's just him saying things, that is it 20 or is it 30? We are dealing with science here. Oh my God. And then the
Yeah.
sequence where he's in the car and he's just changing, and Riley Keough's driving the car. He's like, I'm about to get naked. So no peeking. I said no peeking. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I love films that are like set in the South. Um, because I'm from Florida, so I know some people might not think that we're the South, but we certainly are. So I just love, I feel like a coziness with films that are set in like, kind of small southern towns like that. And I love everyone just did a really good job with their accents too.
Oh,
So it really,
everyone did great. Everyone did
yeah.
great. Another shout out that I want to give is a recent film of his, The Last Duel, which, I mean, my God, talk about another incredibly hard film to watch. I mean, like you watch the film and you just see Adam in a completely different perspective, but I think that that's one of the best period historical pieces that we've gotten in a very long time. And
I've
his
heard
acting
that. I
is,
just haven't seen
yeah,
it yet.
it's a very difficult watch. It moves pretty slow, similar to Silence, but I'm telling you, you watch it and you're just absolutely riveted by his acting. He is really incredible in it. And, for someone like, I'm really, Scott nowadays could be very hit or miss. I do not have Father Son House of Gucci in my honorable mentions because I really was not that big of a fan of Father Son House of Gucci. But, um, for really Scott to be in his mid 80s, still pumping out films, like many films back to back, I mean, that's impressive. That's a, a thing that I cannot push aside. Like, if you're a filmmaker and you're in your 80s still pumping out stuff, I mean, my God, like,
Yeah. Like I'm in my early 20s, just kind of getting my foot on like film sets and stuff, and it's exhausting.
yeah,
And
oh,
so
I'm
just to
sure.
be older and kind of, doing what you need to do to make a movie is, I can't imagine that.
Oh, 100%. And I also want to shout out his very funny comedic performance in This Is Where I Leave You as the younger brother. He is really nuts in this movie. And I mean, he stole the whole show, I think. It's a very funny performance. I think his introduction is incredible. For those who don't know what the movie's about, yeah, this group, the father of the family dies, and it's the siblings and the mother again together for the funeral. Jason Bateman, Corey Stoll, Tina Fey, and Adam Driver. Everyone's already at the funeral except for Adam Driver. He comes up, this loud, like, music is starting to play, and you just hear him going, shit, shit, fuck, fuck. And then he just comes out, like, his hands are like this up in the air, and he's like, mommy. Like, it's, oh my
Yeah.
God, great introduction, truly. And then he's making fun of Ben Schwartz the whole movie. Um,
Yeah, kind of similar to
yeah,
like how he is in What If.
what exactly similar to what he did these movies back to back, so it was kind of interesting to see him do that. And also, I want to shout out one more Noah Baumbach film, While We're Young. This movie is so underrated. Nobody talks about it, which is so disappointing. Adam is very likable in this film, but he is also really friggin' slimy. Oh my God.
Yeah,
The
I love
things that
that
he
one as
does,
well.
the things that he does in this movie, I mean, insane. The sequence where he's kissing a particular person that I'm not going to say who, I'm like, oh my God. Like, wow. Truly wow. Like incredible.
Yeah.
I mean the whole like group headline the movie is incredible. Him, Ben Stiller, Naomi Watts, and Amanda Seyfried. I mean, oh my God, perfect, literally a perfect pairing of four actors with each other. Just incredible stuff. And to talk
That's
about some of
very
the yeah,
much
go
that's
ahead.
very much the millennial hipster Adam
Uh,
movie.
and I love millennial hipster Adam and
Yeah.
Amanda be and him being with Amanda Seyfried. I mean, come on, that's like a perfect pairing. That's like a really
Yeah.
great pairing. I love it. I love it so much. Now to talk about some of the films that Adam has coming out, obviously one of the big ones, and we kind of hinted at it before, is White Noise, which is the next Noah Baumbach collaboration. It's going to be Noah, Adam, and Greta all reuniting. It's going to be a nice Francis Ha reunion, which is great. It's Greta's first time acting in front of the camera since she started directing films. I mean, she's directed two of the best films of the last. Honestly, I will go on a limb and say she's directed two of the best films of the entire century so far. Labor is a masterpiece. Little Women's a masterpiece. And listen, don't judge me when I say this. I think Barbie's going to be a masterpiece too, and I'm very excited to see it. I cannot wait to see it. I
It
wouldn't
has to
care.
be. It
It
has Ryan
has to be,
Gosling in it.
and Noah's co-writing it too.
Yeah.
And Margot Robbie's in it, which is yeah, Ryan Gosling being in it is that's that's listen, there was a clip going around of him screaming like a girl. I love comedic Ryan Gosling. I
Love it.
love when he freaks out. Like his performance in The Nice Guys is one of the best comedic performances I think I've ever seen. And yeah, every time he's in that movie and just screaming like a girl, it's incredible because then you see him in other films where he plays like this very strong, very stern person. And no, he's playing like a coward. And I cannot wait to see what he does as Ken and all the interviews that he's talked about where Ken's going to be like kind of like broken and lost and hopeless. I'm like, oh, I'm so rare. I'm so ready. This movie is not going to be for kids. And that's how it should be. I'm so excited to see this movie. But to talk about the films that Adam has coming out, like we said, White Noise, which actually at the time of this recording just had its world premiere at the Venice Film Festival, and people are pretty divided on it, which I mean doesn't surprise me because the source material is very polarizing and has been considered to be an unadaptable book. So I'm excited to see it. I know Jamie's excited to see it. I'll be seeing it in a few weeks at the New York Film Festival. Jamie, if I were you, I would just book a flight to New York so you can come see it early.
I'm gonna have to find a way.
You're gonna definitely have to find a way because the way you described it, you're like, I will do everything I can to see that movie. I'm not waiting until December to watch that movie. I don't blame you.
No,
I
it's
don't blame you at
criminal.
all. Absolutely. He has a film coming out called 65, which is a sci-fi film written and directed by the co-writers of A Quiet Place, and it's scheduled to come out in April. And it is about, well, the premise sounds pretty lame if you ask me. An astronaut who crash lands on a mysterious planet discovers he's not alone. That's all it says. I mean, there's probably more to it. If Adam's in it, I'll watch it. I think it's cool that he's going to do something like this, but I'm really not that excited for this. He's currently filming Ferrari with Michael Mann, which is really exciting. Follows the life of Enzo Ferrari in 1957 as he deals with the family problems while also preparing for the 1957 mile Magilla. Adam Driver, Penelope Cruz, and Shailene Woodley. Oh, and McDreamy, Patrick Dempsey's in it. Great parent, great cast. I love Michael Mann. He hasn't made a film in almost 10 years. I'm excited for him to come back because his last film was
True.
a gigantic piece of poop. So I think this is going to be on a good level for him. And Adam being in it, I'm sold. But then later this year, he will begin filming the long awaited return of Francis Ford Coppola, Megaopolis, which the cast assembled here is pretty massive. And Francis
Yeah.
Ford Coppola has been trying for years to get this project up and going, and now he's finally doing it. And I mean, again, if you're going to cast someone to headline a film from Francis Ford Coppola, who's directed some of the greatest films of all time, I mean, who are you going to cast besides Adam Driver? There's no other actor that's hot right now, not just looks wise, but talent wise, than Adam. And I mean, like, I'm so excited to see how this film plays out. And the cast that we have here is pretty insane. We have Forrest Whitaker, Natalie Emmanuel, John Voight, Lawrence Fishburne, Audrey Plaza, Catherine Hunter, who stole the show in Tragedy of Macbeth. She was incredible in that. And Jason Schwartzman. Oh, and Talia Shire. This is a massive cast, and I'm not too sure what the film is about, but supposedly what it says is that it's a story about the aftermath and reconstruction of New York City after a mega disaster. But after the city was hit by the real life disaster of 9/11, the project was seen as being too sensitive. So I'm not sure what Coppola has done to kind of change up the film, but it's Francis Ford Coppola making a new movie and Adam Driver's headline. And I mean, how could you not be excited for this? I mean,
It's
again,
gonna
Francis
be a
Ford
big
Coppola,
one.
it's going to be massive. Francis Ford Coppola, again, I mean, he's directed some of the greatest films of all time, Godfather and Apocalypse Now. And, like, you know, he's kind of been out of the realm for over 10 years. He's been focusing on making his very delicious wine, by the way. And now he's going to be making a film again. And it's very exciting. So, out of these films coming out in Adam's filmography, what would you say are the ones you're excited for? Are you excited for all of them? Is there one besides White Noise that you're particularly amped for? What are your thoughts on these films?
I'm probably, yeah, probably most excited for White Noise also because it's just, the one coming out like the soonest, but definitely excited for the Francis Ford Coppola one. I'm a big Aubrey Plaza fan as well, so when that news came out a few days ago, I was really excited to the fact they're going to be in a movie together.
That's so exciting. That's a very cool pairing. I mean, I would love for them to do like a comedy. They could do a romantic comedy together beautifully, but hey, if you're starring in a Francis Ford Coppola movie, I mean, sign me up, please. Like, this is incredible. Are you looking forward to the Ferrari movie that Michael Mann's making, or is that not like a
Um,
high priority for you?
it's, I mean, it's not something that I'm terribly passionate about, like the source material and everything, but if it's an Adam Driver starring movie, I'm gonna watch it straight up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, closing thoughts before we conclude. Adam Driver is truly one of the best actors working today, if not, honestly, maybe my favorite actor working today. He's tackled so many different roles. He's committed to his craft. He just seems like a very likable human being, and he continues to pick really great roles under great filmmakers. And I'm excited to see where his career goes. I will follow his career until he decides, oh, hey, I'm going to step down from acting, which I hope to God he never does, because I can't imagine a world without Adam Driver gracing the screens. I just can't even imagine.
I
But
wonder if he'll be an actor that, like, at one point starts to veer towards directing or something else. I wonder, like, if that's something he's thought of before. Yeah, just interesting.
I would love that. So before we close out the episode, what are your final thoughts on Adam?
I mean, I don't obsess over actors really. I try not to because sometimes I feel like the way the world idolizes actors kind of makes me feel overwhelmed. But with Adam, I just feel like he's such a wholesome guy who loves cinema and loves what he does and doesn't take it for granted too. And I just think, yeah, everything he does is interesting, even if they don't end up being like the greatest movies. Um, Whatever he does is interesting in it. And yeah, I think he's also easily able to quickly figure out the tone of movies and, just do what, yeah, just work with directors very well too.
Absolutely. Jamie, thank you so much for coming on to my show today to talk to me about Adam Driver. I'm really glad I got to have you on. I really, really appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thanks. This was really great. I love talking about things that I love, and Adam Driver's definitely up there. So,
I mean, it's hard not to love Adam. So, where could the people find you online? Do you have any content that you like to share? Do you have anywhere like to show your work or anything? But where could the people find the Jamie Arena?
um, Twitter is where I'm mainly at. It's Jamie K Arena, the K just being the letter K, for my middle name. So, yeah, writing some stuff, talking about some stuff. I do a lot of like film work on like sets and stuff, but I try to post, all things film that I'm doing.
Exciting stuff. Love it so much. So you guys could follow her. The link will be in the description below. You guys could follow this show anywhere on any social media platform. Subscribe to it on any podcasting platform that you're listening to. Share this around with all your friends. Get them to experience the fragments that are known as the film fragments. Follow me on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Bryan Setfield. Seriously, guys, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for sticking with us. I really appreciate each and every one of you who decides to listen to this show. Seriously, I'm so grateful. We have a lot of great episodes coming your way throughout the next couple of weeks. Stay tuned for that. I will see you guys for the very next episode of Film Fragments. Take care, everybody.